Greetings, fellow human beings. So today I finally have another video. I've actually not been playing Minecraft too much, mostly because I've been busy studying. I actually just finished my bachelor's degree in computer science and I'm about to start my master's. I've also been working a bit and I actually just finished a beta version of some software I've been working on. I will have some more information about that at the end of the video. But of course you came for this build, so let's get to that. So what I made is basically a 2-wide version of a waterfall door that I made like 8 years ago or something. So this is it. Basically the whole idea is that this door can be within an entire waterfall rather than the Mumbo waterfall door or whoever made it, where it just splits a single stream of water. So of course with this I think you can still split a single stream of water, it's just not as cool essentially. So this one has the option to split an entire wall of water essentially by just pushing out these blocks, destroying the water, which the other kind of designs don't do. So making a 2-wide version was in the past actually pretty challenging without observers. I'm positive it must still have been possible, but basically with observers it got a whole lot easier. And I think this is actually pretty cool. I try to keep the animation clean and fast, and I think it would make for a very nice hidden entrance. I then made another version where I minimized this basically, so try to have the double right above, which requires a bit of a different layout. So I have that one over here. It's a bit slower, just because of the layout, but I think it's also pretty cool. I wanted to show both because they both have some pros and cons essentially. But I still really like this. And then I came around and actually compacted that design, and I think this one is super sweet. Animation is a tiny bit worse, but it's still pretty good. Like the only thing that's really worse is that it's a tiny bit slower apparently, and these blocks push out on the extension here, which isn't strictly necessary for it to function, but that's pretty mild. And this one just uses some really cool wiring tricks in my opinion, and is quite a bit smaller than mine. So let's have a look at the actual wiring. So here you can see the wiring without any of the wall and the water essentially. And it's 3 wide for the most part, but of course we have this whole area that extends forwards, making the volume quite a bit bigger when taking the strict volume like you should do when talking about your wiring. But really it doesn't matter, like most of this is unused space. I think this layout is pretty straightforward. I only used the slider here to transfer some signal, which is a bit special, but apart from that it's basically just some pistons there and a double piston extender over here. And I just tried to get the timings to work nicely and no visible unnecessary piston movements. So here you can see a cross section, so it's actually completely symmetrical, so you can just make a 1-wide version by only building this half. So as you can see, it's pretty simple. I'm sure that this layout can also be compacted. I didn't really try. I think this is honestly like good enough. Compacted it in the sense that I made another version which is 1 piston layer here less, so it's less tall in terms of the actual layout and also the wiring, because there was quite a lot of open space here. But I think this version is a bit more elegant than that one, so I didn't really care to show it off. But yeah, again, I'm pretty sure that you could, for instance, cut out this entire layer if you try a bit. Actually, will be kind of difficult because we need to power these pistons, but I'm sure that some clever people can do some cool stuff with sliders and the likes. So that's that layout. Then here we have my version of this layout, which is a bit different. We still need to have these pistons here to push the block forward, but for actually removing the blocks from here, we use basically a semi-hipster from the floor. Only thing that's a bit special is that we also need to get rid of some additional blocks. So actually with a normal semi-hipster you would have this when it's closed. However, our wall continues here and the water sits on this level, so we can't have this section be exposed when it's closed. So for that reason we have to fill in those blocks, and these blocks are then actually reused to make the walkway to have some floor to stand on rather than the water that spoils in. So that's kind of clever, I think. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool layout. It's still kind of compact, but it's also just at the bottom messy block of observers, which I don't like too much. The top is a bit better, still not great, but it does do the job. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is some, yes, extreme lag. Sorry for that. Probably just my internet connection. Okay, but yeah, then as I said already, iGamings came along and he took an entire layer of the side. And this thing is just beautiful. It's like, look at this, it's really tiny, and he uses some really clever techniques in here, more than I did. I just went for the simplest thing I could come up with, more or less. But this one is just really elegant. So we can actually use this one to look at the cross section. Again, it's completely symmetrical. Both my design and his design are just a mirrored version of the same half, or two mirrored versions, or whatever. So you can just build a one wide version as well. So yeah, here you can see the weird thing I was mentioning about spitting out that block. So it's a bit of an interesting semi-hipster essentially at the bottom. And then for powering this these two pistons, I just put an observer behind there. And then the clever thing that iGamings came up with was to push this column downwards after the observer gets there to give it a second pulse, because these pistons need to both extend and retract afterwards, and just putting the observer behind there momentarily would only give it a single pulse, but then that slider makes for the second pulse. And I just thought that was super cool. It was something I definitely didn't think of myself, and yeah. And then additionally, he used like a butt switch over here to keep this extended for the right amount of time, and he reused like this observer here to power that dust, and a bunch of little tricks basically that just work out really nicely together. So that's it for my builds today. I just want to show off multiple designs. In case you want a tutorial, please let me know. I can record a tutorial for any of these designs, but probably don't want a middle one, or it depends. If you really care about this being a tiny bit slower, you might prefer that one, but overall I think this is the better design. Yeah, so that's it. I will, however, tell you a bit about my software in case you care. So the software I've been working on is called LaunchMenu. I've been working on it together with Sankarn for about a year now. It's essentially a improved version of Spotlight on Mac or the search functionality in the start menu on Windows. The idea is that you can just search for a word and get results for that. And everything is controllable with only your keyboard. So for instance, if I don't know what this word mob means, I can press Windows plus space and then search for mob. And there we get all definitions for mob from Wiktionary. And we can scroll through that using page up and down. In this case, there's a lot of definitions though. So what we can do is we can open the context menu from the item we've selected here by pressing tab. In here you see a definitions item, so I can enter that. And here I can browse the individual definitions. But I can also search within this menu, so I can search for game, for instance. And here we find a game related result now, because the word game is in there. So the definition we were looking for was a non-player character, especially one that exists to be fought or killed to further the progression of the story or game. So this just was a very quick way of finding this result essentially. And that's the point. So LaunchMenu is this program as a whole, and within LaunchMenu we have applets. So this dictionary is one of the applets we have. Currently there are only two applets, a dictionary and a notes applet. So in the notes you can just write notes and read notes essentially. But of course we want to get way more applets in the end. So that's why this is a beta release. This is actually not fully finished yet, not really ready for users that much, but we want to get attention from some other developers that might be interested in this, and hopefully see if other developers want to help us create applets for this program and make it more useful. So for instance, for the notes applet, I have one note called shitty. So here's the note, you can press enter and edit it. And then exit, and there's your note. It also supports Markdown, so you can embed images and do some other stuff. But that's basically it. So currently there are just two simple applets. However, LaunchMenu as a whole, the software itself, has a lot of utilities built in that really make creating applets relatively easy, at least simple applets. And for more complex applets, it supports many features. For instance, one cool thing what you can do is add search patterns, so I can do define, and now I only get definitions. For instance, shitty, I will no longer get the shitty node now because I'm searching for a definition. That's just one example. We can also, when using such a pattern, define the language we want to search for. So now it's looking for Dutch definition, so lopen is a Dutch word, not an English word. However, the actual descriptions here are still in English because we use the English Wiktionary. In any case, that's a program. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description. When it comes to Minecraft, I might make some more videos this summer. I plan on doing a bit of Minecraft probably. I have some free time. But in any case, thank you all for watching. Bye.